Good afternoon and welcome. And we're bringing you the first images of the Prime Minister taking a sortie in the fighter jet Tejas. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Karnataka today, where he visited the HAL Centre, and Modi has said that he successfully completed a sortie on the Tejas. He's called the experience incredibly enriching, significantly bolstering my confidence in our country's indigenous capabilities and leaving me with a renewed sense of pride and optimism about our national potential. Shiv Arur is joining me on the phone line on this. Shiv, the Prime Minister has taken a sortie on the Tejas. What more do we know about this trip of the Prime Minister, and what does this mean for our flight capabilities?
Anisha, very significant event because the LCA Tejas, as our viewers and you know, is an indigenous fighter aircraft. It's an aircraft that's currently in service with the Air Force already, but it's going to be inducted in much larger numbers going forward. Prime Minister Modi becomes the first Prime Minister to take a flight in the LCA Tejas. Heavy with symbolism also because the Indian Air Force, for years, for decades, Anisha, has been notoriously dependent on foreign fighters. Even now, we're continuing to import fighters like the Rafale. There are programs to import other fighters from other countries as well. And that's the reason why, putting his weight behind the LCA Tejas, a fighter, 200 of which are going to be purchased for the Indian Air Force in the foreseeable future and larger numbers going forward, is a huge pat on the back to the Indian aviation industry, the Indian aviation complex, our aviation and aeronautical scientists who have toiled for decades to put this aircraft together. It's also a show of confidence in the aircraft itself. The LCA Tejas is currently in service with 2 squadrons with the Indian Air Force in Coimbatore and a place called Sulur in Tamil Nadu. But at least 5 or 6 more squadrons have already been ordered of an improved version of this fighter, which will begin being inducted in about a year and a half from now. About 83 of those are going to be inducted, and after that, even more numbers will come in. There's a Mark II version of the Tejas, which is going to be an even more upgraded version that is currently in development. The fact that India has been hugely dependent on imported aircraft for its military requirements has always been something that has hung over India's reputation globally, and that's the reason why the LCA Tejas, even though it has had a troubled development cycle, is something that has turned the corner, and in the last few years has really proven itself as a modern little fighter aircraft capable of doing, all of the frontline missions that India requires it to. By sitting in a Tejas, and we do know that the Prime Minister flew with an Air Force pilot. The sortie lasted about 40 minutes. We understand that in the air, the Prime Minister may have been given control of this fighter for a little while, as is the protocol when such things happen. He would have been given a full briefing of full safety precautions and protocols while in the air. In the pictures, you can actually see the Prime Minister wearing not just the flight overalls, but also the G-suit, because there would have been some maneuvers that impose the G-forces on the body of the pilot. So the Prime Minister, who is over 70 years old, would have had to go through special briefing for undertaking this sortie. I actually flew in this very same aircraft in 2019 in February, Arisha, and it's a wonderful aircraft, very modern. Indian Air Force pilots dote on this aircraft. After years, it has been able to deliver on what it actually has promised. So it's going to be interesting to see what this means going forward. One of the complaints, I would say, of the LCA Tejas team has been that the Indian Air Force is not committed enough in the Tejas. It's not, it's not putting its money where its mouth is. But that actually has happened in the last couple of years. In fact, early last year is when the Indian Air Force did commit, large amounts of money, thousands of crores, to order 83 more of these aircraft. And we understand that paperwork has begun to order, at least 100 more of these aircraft for the Indian Air Force frontline squadrons. They are going to be based in frontline areas in the Western Command, not just in the South. So they are ready for combat and ready for battle. So the Prime Minister donning Tejas colors, sitting in the Tejas, is a huge show of confidence, and it sends out a very, very big message.